let's start the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha for blessings of it, and inshallah we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ease our understanding in whatever knowledge that we are going to seek throughout the session and for the further sessions in the future as well. Al-Fatiha. So let me give you a rough idea of who our speaker is today. Is Mr. Fazrihan Duriat. We are very honored to have him. He has a BSc in Finance from the University College Dublin and LLM in Islamic Law and Finance from Singapore Management University, SMU. In addition, Fazrihan has a chartered professional in Islamic Finance, CIFP. He holds the Azatiza Recognition Scheme and certificate under the Majlis Agama Islam Singapore MUIS. So for the fifth session, we're going to be learning about understanding of the Sharia compliant business as well as the halal industry in Singapore and how these players are contributing to the halal economy in Singapore, which is growing along the years, which has been growing along the years. So without further ado, I'll pass on the time to Mr. Fazrihan, who will then take over from here to share more about today's session. Just a reminder as well for the questions, if you guys got any questions, do send it to the Slido link, which the link is FMS5. You can send it in along the session and we will try our best to answer them at the end of the session. So without further ado, Mr. Fazrihan, you want to take over? Bismillah, you can take over from here.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you kepada Rafiq, IBFS team and Pegas Investment. Bismillah, inna alhamdulillah, nahmadu wasta'inu wastaghfiruh, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sayyidina Muhammad amma ba'd. Subhanim Allah sultanu wa Nabi Muhammad alayhi salam. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. Okay, we great blessing to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and is ba'azam of our Most High, pray to those who have passed away. We also prayed for those facing difficult times in times of COVID and for parents, bismillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amin. Okay, we start as soon as possible. Okay, actually just to say, actually I feel I don't deserve to be a presenter. I'm not expert. I see that some of you are more knowledgeable than me, so I see your forgiveness in my contents and approach, and I'm also learning from you. So actually this is just one of the session. The rest of the presenters, I think many of you have attended. Actually they are more like my mentors, Ustaz Nuzaihan, Dr. Haziq, Encik Azman Wong, Dr. Samsia, and the next one is Encik Omar Mushi. Okay, he's a great crowdfunding guy. Okay, let's move on. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, the course objective. Okay, I'll say something about the history, current situation, challenges, future development of Islamic finance. Okay, another area I will touch is about the halal industry. So, as you know, halal is actually any business that you're doing. There's not haram. I mean, I'm talking about Fiqh Muamalat. So, just to background about me, actually I work in the Islamic banking industry. I work in Maybank Islamic in KL. Previously, I was from Maybank Singapore. I was managing Sharia risk and also doing operational risk. So now I'm based in KL, but actually I working from home from Singapore now. Okay, so let me start first from this slide with the banking, Islamic finance industry in Singapore. So, okay, generally, you know, Singapore is a global financial center. You know, it's a quite resilient economy. So with multicultural population, so like about 14-15% of them are Muslims. So Islamic banking has been relatively slow in Singapore. I mean, if you unlike like Malaysia, but overall it actually is still quite stable. So okay, let's talk about the regulatory environment. Okay, Islamic finance in Singapore, okay, they are governed actually by a secular legal structure, like Banking Act in the 1970s, Securities and Futures Act, and the Financial Advisors Act. So okay, just quick chat. Actually, there is no specific separate law on Islamic finance in Singapore. But what Monetary Authority of Singapore, it does regulate. Because it regulates the entire financial and banking system in Singapore. So MAS somehow did make some amendments to the existing laws to accommodate Sharia compliant banking. So actually in 2009, 2010, they did issue the guidelines on the application of banking regulations to Islamic banking. So actually you can Google it, MAS guidelines Islamic banking. You can take a look about it. So actually to conclude, actually there is no Sharia Advisory Council in Singapore. So actually more or less each financial institution, Maybank, CMB or RGB, they are more or less responsible to appoint their own internal Shariah Advisory Board to ensure that the activities comply with Shariah principles. Okay, people may ask, okay, what about how about MUIS, the Islamic Religious Council of Singapore? Okay, MUIS actually look after the administration interests of the Muslim community in general, but they don't really touch on side banking specifically. They did some sukuk in the past, which I will elaborate later. Okay, let's move on. Wafiq, to the next slide. Okay, next agenda. Okay, the agenda is I'll cover these board topics relevant for Singapore. First one is about Islamic finance. Actually, I will not cover so much because Ustaz Nuzaihan in the first session has already covered most of them. Okay, second topic is about halal business. Okay, I'll touch a bit more about this. And the last one is for you to take note of because it's about the objective of Sharia and the rulings of Fiqh minority in Singapore context. You need to know this because we are not living like in a Muslim majority country. We are living as a minority, so the context sometimes can differ. So I'll touch on that also in later sections. So I'm not going to speak so much about technical matters, not about Sharia law or also Fiqh. So I'm not really an expert. Okay, please consult Ustaz Nuzaihan about this because he is more on technical Fiqh or Fiqh Muamalat. So when it comes to like Islamic economics, you can go to Dr. Haziq, Islamic Social Finance, Dr. Samsia, Islamic Insurance, Encik Azman, and crowdfunding, fintech, there'll be Omar Munshi. Okay, there'll be the next session next week. So actually my goal here is just to give an overview of the current landscape in Singapore. So my objective just to make you appreciate that actually Singapore is a promising country to live and work as long you earn halal income as a Muslim. Yeah, growth is slow. You won't earn so much, but definitely you have enough for yourself, for your family. And actually the halal business actually has potential to grow and stabilize in the long term. Okay, inshallah. Okay, let's go next slide, Wafiq. Okay, Islamic finance in Singapore. Okay, no, I will go quite fast. Actually, Ustaz Zain has covered this previously. Q&A later about 5 p.m. Okay, you can call me Fazrihan or Han. Okay, as you know, I'm from circle background. So okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, the historical analysis about Islamic finance in Singapore. So if you go back to the 1960s, actually Singapore has made quite significant economic progress. So it used to be like anti-port trade, but now economy is today one of the most stable in the world actually. No foreign debt, government revenue is quite high, and consistently the Singapore government have been making positive surpluses, unlike other countries. So Muslim population about 15%, and the whole population about 6 million right now Singapore. So MAS actually do welcome Islamic finance. They're not so proactive, but they do welcome Islamic finance. Just about our Asatiza in Singapore, our Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs, I think Encik Masagos, he did mention our Asatiza, our religious teachers, actually they are quite well placed to serve in many various fields. They don't just teach you about fiqh, about solat. They also talk. Sometimes they are also been trained, for social work, counselling, and actually also to some extent Islamic finance and also law. Okay, so okay, that's for the first item. Okay, look at the second item, the AMLA, okay, Administration of Muslim Law Act. Okay, the Administration of Muslim Law Act actually it replaced the Muslim Ordinance and the Muhammadan Advisory Board. This is a long time. Most of us are not born yet. This is after Singapore gained independence from the British. So AMLA actually covers finance, personal property matters such as wakaf, nazar, zakat, and inheritance, faraid, and some estate planning. So yes, MUIS look at these matters because they are actually authorized by the Singapore government to work within the AMLA premises. I mean, it's quite rare that you see MUIS work beyond, beyond as what, beyond the AMLA. Okay. So okay, let's go to item 3. Okay, business entity scheme on Islamic finance. Okay, many years ago, Islamic finance started with local organizations, Mendaki, Singapore Malay Teachers Cooperative. That was very long, 1990s. Takaful actually we launched many years ago. Capital insurance about 1995. And the International Islamic University of Malaysia came in and offered Islamic finance diploma programs in Singapore. They were licensing with our Singapore Muslim Converse, the Akam Association. And actually I was one of the students, so managed to get a diploma for that. So that was many long time ago. Even like I think 10 years ago, NUS also had a short course in Islamic finance, but after that they stopped offering it. So if you ask me why Islamic finance is not going so well, there are a lot of factors. So but actually you can refer to the previous session actually when Dr. Haziq talk about Islamic economic. He did say mention Islamic finance, they need not just the business, they not just the place, but they also need synergy from various players and also support from the proactive support from the government. Okay. All right, actually for point 4, the Singapore government stand on Islamic finance. Yes, in 2005, if you know our senior minister, Mr. Goh Chok Tong, and also our MAS chairman, minister is a Taman. They do express the government's interest to develop Islamic finance in Singapore. It's in the news. You can check the MAS website. They have some speeches about this. So back in 2001, that was 20 years ago, so the MS Banking Act actually was amended. So because they actually wanted to accommodate to Islamic finance. So this what happened actually, because in the past, banks are actually not allowed to engage in non-financial activities. You cannot do property management, you cannot do trading in goods. So because the original intention of MS is to prevent banks from losing their core focus on banking and financial services. But somehow whether to allow Islamic finance to occur, the act will actually change. So banks can take non-financial activities with Sharia structure, because Islamic banking, as you know, they involve in purchase and sale. So MS need to cater for that. So back in 2009, 2010, MAS issued the guidelines to allow banks in Singapore to offer Islamic banking products and services. So it's a official guideline. Okay, beside MAS, what about MUIS? Okay, you see at 4C of my slide. Okay, actually, MUIS does something about Islamic finance. They like somewhere in a few years ago, many years ago, I can't recall which year, they did issue a Musyarakah bond, about 25 million, to partially finance acquisition of a commercial building back in Beachwood. So actually, it's also in the news. So that's what MUIS did in the past. Okay, next slide, Wafiq. Okay, this is actually just these are just some of the Islamic finance players in Singapore to date. You can just go to the website to find out more. Actually, in later slide, I will show you that the halal industries covers all sectors of the economy, not just banking sector, not just finance sector. So the players and the business potential are even greater. Okay, next slide, Wafiq. Okay, having a quiz here. Okay, I'm not sure whether Brother Wafiq can do a poll. Can you do a poll here? Actually, the question is this: which of these companies face commercial setbacks, which has affected the Islamic finance industry in Singapore? So, do you have any?
Yes, we are able to do a poll.
Okay, do you have any answer?
Okay, the poll is out already, I think. Just press pause, then you all can put in your answer there.
Yeah, the poll is out. Yeah, you can.
All right. Okay, I'm not sure why is that 93%. All right.
So the second question, right? It was a mistake, lah. So you
All
can
right, I
just do the
understand.
first question.
Understand. I think there's
Apologies for
some
that.
typo. It's all right. Okay, I'll tell you what the answer is. Actually, some of you press E. The answer is correct. It's all of the above. Actually,
Oops.
HSBC stopped offering takaful services in Singapore. It's actually back in 2012. Which because of economies of scale, investment criteria not met. So, but somehow, however, after 2012, I'm not sure when is it, 2015, if I'm not wrong. There's a new company, STNT, it's part of Shaidah Travels actually. They actually launched a range of takaful products in 2013. They actually collaborated with UOI, United Overseas Insurance. So some of the takaful products involve Umrah scheme, emergency medical assistant, tasking. I think it's still available. Some of the takaful products offered by STNT, but again, HSBC doesn't offer anymore. Okay, for the other one, part B, DBS. Yes, DBS actually they have a subsidiary. They call it Islamic Bank of Asia. Actually, a lot of my friends are there. So, but after that in 2015, they stopped offering Islamic finance services. So it later closed down. Okay. I was told actually DBS to offer some Islamic private equity and fee-based investment banking, but I'm not sure whether it's true or not. Right. Okay. Next one. Sabana REIT. Yes. Sabana REIT. It was somehow added since 2016. Is the world largest Sharia compliant REIT by assets in the world. I mean, but yes, decline in business. I think there's some there's internally some management shakeup. Senior executive have left, a new CEO have appointed. If you like the news, I think last month or last week, so Sabana now is actually going to merge with ESR, another REIT. So you can take a look at the discussion. I hope they can still maintain their Sharia compliance certificate. Okay, the next one, OCBC. Yes, OCBC, they do have Wadiah monthly savings account, but it was officially removed from the shelf back in 2013. So but they do still have Islamic products. To be honest, they have Islamic products. They are normal Wadiah savings account and current account. If I'm not wrong, they still offer zakat services. Meaning that if you put money in this Wadiah savings account, actually, you can opt in or opt out. Whether every year there will be a calculation for you, and OCBC can actually deduct the money and give some of the zakat funds to MUIS. You can take a look at that. But if you look at the website, they don't offer anymore. You really have to go to the branch, physical branch, to ask for the same products. So then you say yes, they still offer it. Okay. So the answer is E, all the above. Okay, Afiq, let's go to next slide. All right. These are critical success factors that actually affect whether it's the success of banking and finance in Singapore. Okay, there are talk about three things. Okay, fragmentation and societal perception, and the other one is on legislation. So let's talk about fragmentation. There's actually no clear market leader in the Islamic finance industry in Singapore. People could say it could be Maybank, Singapore, it could be CMB or RHB, but actually there is no clear market leader. MUIS is not really looking at this, to be honest. So many of the players in Singapore actually they are doing their own business with a silo mentality. So there's little cooperation or reliance on each other. They don't really synergize with each other. So when the Islamic deals transacted by these Islamic finance players, you see the total volume. It's not significant compared to the whole banking industry in Singapore. It's just a small fraction. So this is talking about fragmentation. Yep. Okay, let's talk about the other one, societal perception. This is what society feels about Islamic banking and finance. Some people just say that it is just about changing the concept, changing the wordings from interest, to profit. It's not that it's not that direct. There's more things to it, see, because under Muamalat is talking about akad. Akad is contract, see. So the context must be enforceable in Singapore law. So we do involve lawyers. So this societal perception, firstly, I'll talk about documentation. Okay. Advisory, pricing, and awareness. So let's talk about documentation under this societal perception. As you know, the documentation, we talk about akad, and they are based on contracts, based on Shah concept. And because of that, akad actually based on Shah concept, they affect operational processes. This is so it could be different from the conventional version. So when for me, I mean, when I used to in Maybank Singapore, I was doing the product development. So it's a bit of tough, talking to the lawyers, and these lawyers, Singapore lawyers, whether it's in-house lawyer or external lawyers, they, to be honest, they have little knowledge of Islamic finance. Those were the days. I think now currently they're better. There are more lawyers coming up with Islamic finance knowledge. So in the past, the lawyers got to do additional process of tweaking the documentation to make it Sharia compliant. And somehow or other, this increased the legal cost and turnaround time, and clients, banks clients, they are corporate clients, MNCs. So sometimes they are quite impatient, see? So they are pushing us, to hurry up, to get the documentation ready so they can sign and complete the deal. So in the end, what happened is, like, the bankers, the sales manager. So it's pressurized the sales manager. So in the end, the sales manager will just talk to the client. Hey, come on, I think Islamic banking products are just too difficult. Let's just switch to conventional. So because it's easier, it's an easier alternative, you see, for the client. So there's one part, you see, which actually slow down some banking process last time. So actually right now, after I left in Bank Singapore, I think it's getting better now. Lawyers are much more familiar. They are trying to streamline the process. So they're trying to make the documentation better, lesser, see. So at least is to cut the number of documents to sign. Okay, the last one is about advisory. As you know about Islamic banking, there need to be another team to do the Sharia advisory. So unlike the conventional, so there must be a separate Sharia advisory team to review and recommend to the Sharia board, for endorsement of the documentation and operational processes. So this step will incur additional costs. So just to share with you, I mean, I work in Maybank Islamic in KL. So we do have a separate Sharia advisory team. We do have a separate Sharia research team, Sharia review. We have also doing Sharia, and our team is doing Sharia risk, Sharia audit. So we have so many Sharia teams doing so many things. Yes, I mean, there are some costs involved, but somehow or other we're getting used to it. So we try to increase the turnaround time. The next one is about pricing. The pricing sometimes the customer will look at the bottom line. So sometimes the product tend to be a little bit expensive, so making them less competitive than the conventional counterparts. I'm not sure why, but every time I ask my sales manager, they say they cannot just get the same pricing as conventional. See, yeah, I just hope, yeah, I think, but now it's getting better. Now they tend to make it on par. So the last one is about awareness. Okay, I'm talking about the societal perception now. Is product briefing and regular refresher trainings are actually required, because staff actually, they tend to forget how Islamic banking works. For example, in Singapore, most of the sales team actually they are not so familiar. They are non-Muslims. Then when they see about Islamic banking, they felt they have to go through the training. You see. So, and they don't understand what is mudarabah, musyarakah, wadi'ah, so it just makes them very confused, see. So there's also another part. See, we not only have to teach the customers, we also have to teach our own staff as well internally. So actually, nationwide Islamic finance literacy programs are still scarce in Singapore. I mean, even if you ask, your auntie, your uncles, in your family, they may not know what this Muamalat is about. See, I'm even though I mean, I also have some friends who actually studied in Islamic University. So they even ask me how Islamic finance works. You see, so that's how Islamic finance literacy needs to come about. All right. Okay. Okay. The last critical success factor is about legislation. Okay, as you know, the same level playing field is adopted by MAS. It's not like Malaysia. Bank negara actually adopt a proactive approach. They will push Islamic finance as much as they can. So, but not in Singapore. It's a different game. You see, so it's a neutral approach for Singapore. So it's the Islamic finance banks and players got to push their way up. Have to work together. So have to create the demand and supply. Somehow the MAS have been quite good. I mean, they have, MAS has the Islamic banking guidelines, so that banks in Singapore, like Maybank, CMB, RHB, they actually, so banks, each of the banks can have their own Sharia governance and a sound risk management process. So actually, this should be a leeway for banks to push Islamic finance products. See, so they can choose any available Sharia standard, for example, EOFI, for example, Bank Negara standard. So they're not restricted. You see, so MAS give them more freedom, to choose. So it should be a plus point for them to push Islamic finance, not an obstacle to me, but right. Yeah, so it's just that recently there is a current tax regime, so it does not incentivize Islamic finance players to push the banking further. This is more on corporate financing. So there used to be some tax incentive, but recently I think the tax incentive has not been renewed. Yeah. So, and also about the Singapore Constitution, Islamic finance actually is not explicitly within the ambit of the economic aspect of Islam. So in the end, businesses have to read, if you do halal business or Islamic finance business, it should be within the current regulation of the Singapore government. See? So such as the existing conventional banking framework and the code of conduct. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, I've spoken a lot. Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, there's a quiz here. Okay, the quiz is under societal perception, as mentioned in the earlier slide. What factors need to be considered when doing Islamic finance businesses in Singapore? Okay, A is documentation, B advisory, C pricing, D awareness, or E all of the above. Okay, I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, right. Actually, can you refer to my notes in previous slide, but it's not. It's just a bullet point. But I spoken the bulk of it. So actually, the answer is yes, correct. 93%. Yes, the answer is actually all of the above. So just to tell you that no, there's a lot of things to consider when doing some finance business in Singapore. Documentation, advisory, the pricing and awareness. You see. Yes, so this is just to tell you that this is the cost of being Sharia compliant. Just like you want to eat halal chicken and non-halal chicken for the same weight, for the same 1 kg of chicken that's sorted in the halal way, and the one is not. So the price is slightly different, see, for the same weight. So, but personally, these are not really the major reason for Singapore to not to be successful in going Islamic finance. There are a lot of other factors. As you see, as I said, you see Malaysia, Bank Negara to a proactive approach. But for Malaysia, but for Singapore, MS to a non-professional treatment means they are just being neutral. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, next slide. Okay, the prospect to move forward. Okay, so actually, what can the Islamic finance move forward for Singapore? Actually, there are 3 ways: harmonization, empowerment, and the paradigm shift. Okay, I'll touch one at a time. Okay, for harmonization, okay, as you know, AMLA is the highest legislation regarding Islamic matters. So it's enacted way back, even before I was born, in 1960s. 1960s. So it's actually AMLA empowered 3 key institutions to govern Sharia compliance in Singapore. It's not just on banking; it's on general, so, yeah, in general matters. So it's these 3 institutions are actually MUIS, Sharia Court, and the ROMM. So Registry of Muslim Marriages, where you all get married. Most of you get married. So actually, AMLA is actually within the supervision of a government, Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth. So the minister is also our minister who's also in charge of Muslim affairs. So we have some sense of duality, of Singapore system, personal law, family law, covering marriage, issues relating to marriage, dissolution of marriage, and inheritance. So it's quite a blend actually, if you to be honest. So I mean, what we can propose, I know once every few years there'll be a team that be actually authorized by government to look at AMLA to look at what other areas to be enhanced. Yeah, so there could be a proposal, if any of you are involved in legal matters, which mean AMLA, could be broadened, to empower MUIS MUIS, or even a specific institution, maybe Pegas, for example, to look into the affairs of Islamic economics, just Islamic economics. So when you harmonize AMLA with Islamic finance, it's actually more of a proactive top-down approach, you see. So to boost the Islamic finance business, it's not just for a Muslim community, but it's also for the community, for the nation, for GDP, see. And this COVID period, it's not so easy to to grow the business, to grow the economy, you see. yeah, recession is, we are always thinking of this. Yeah, so and but I think is AMLA, to enhance the AMLA, to empower the AMLA, it's a bit time consuming. See, so people can do case studies, benchmarking with other secular countries, for example, UK, Ireland, US, and Australia. Don't be surprised. Actually, these countries secular, but they are doing science finance. And in fact, some of them are doing more than us. Yeah, because their jurisdictional components somehow they're similar to us, the Republic of Singapore. We cannot compare ourselves with Malaysia. It's a different area. So we must compare Singapore with other secular countries, you see. So we can like identify best practices, as reference point, improving the growth of Islamic finance, you see. So that's one. Alternatively, when mentioned about harmonization, we could consolidate several Islamic finance players, you see. So, Sharia boards, we are formed, based on Shura, religious consultation to approve Islamic products, and having a national business working committee with members from all the Islamic finance players to understand actually the more like the social economic situation, and set up the Islamic business direction based on, the siasa Sharia, means that what is the best interest of the people in line with the government's agenda, to grow the economy and still in line with the Sharia principles. So it's a national project. I mean, it's not like you and me can do, but it takes some big guys to do all this lah. Yeah. Okay. So this is not just about the AMLA. We can talk about the CPF, for example. And as you know, CPF, some banks, banks in Singapore have gone to problems because they cannot launch residential properties or Islamic finance residential properties because they tried negotiating with CPF a few times. So one way is, if CPF can allow Islamic residential mortgages and what, that'll be a good idea. See, so yeah, I can share with you lah. I mean, this is some banks they propose certain share concepts to the government, to allow Islamic residential mortgage, So some of the concepts, like Komoti Murabaha, Musyawarah Mutanakisa, I spoke to some of the Islamic finance players, but personally, if you ask me, what is the best structure to allow for CPF Islamic financing? Actually, the best structure personally to me is Ijara. Because if you buy a HDB house, you don't really buy it. Even though there's a sale and purchase agreement, you're just leasing it for 99 years. After that, it belongs back to the government. So it's more like best structure is Ijara, it's a leasing. Actually, I was talking to some of my friends, whether we can start writing some articles, personal articles, and maybe we can even propose to the government. So maybe if you can tell me down for me, hope that I can write an article on this. Okay, that's for item one, harmonization. We talk about empowerment. Empowerment is about enhancing the knowledge of local practitioners, both Islamic and conventional. So one way is actually to make provision for tertiary madrasah students, and so they don't just learn about fiqh ibadat, they also learn fiqh muamalat, fiqh itisad, means about Islam economics and finance. So they're both at both, not just on the Islamic subject, but also on the technical subjects, economics and finance. So and the next one is about paradigm shift. Okay. Paradigm shift is actually a lot broader, but I just share with you what is in my mind. Paradigm shift, Islamic finance is not just for Muslims. It's actually about humanity. So you actually apply Islamic finance you link it to humanitarian efforts. So you can link it, for example, under United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. You also promote socially responsible investment, ESG, environmental, social governance. This could be solution for public to understand the potential of Islamic finance. It's way beyond profit maximization, to be honest. Yeah. So and inside finance, you don't just work within Singapore context. You can work with the international community, humanize financial services. So you shift people's minds. You promote financial inclusion, and to get a latest, and now people are talking about fintech. you improve the financial platform, you see, and you can instill ethical mechanism of trust, using like blockchain, for example. I know people talking about trust smart contracts, see. So, and from there you can go to areas like capital markets, banking, see, and crowdfunding, for example. So I think this area, Omar Mushi will talk more for next week. So the other element on talk about paradigm shifts is about synergizing. So like with multilateral banks, intergovernmental organizations, IDB and World Bank. I see, actually you're surprised. Actually, Singapore is working quite well with the intergovernmental organization. So to promote ethical finance. So they actually more or less, I did a study. Actually, more or less, whatever the government is doing for Singapore, for the community, actually is aligned to the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. Yes. Okay. Next slide, Wafiq. Okay. Okay. The challenges ahead is about community needs. So community needs. What is community need actually? It's just for individuals and corporates. I'll talk about the simple one first. Okay, people need a car. Okay, okay. In Maybank there's Islamic Auto Finance. Okay. And what are the things that people need? People need to go for education. So there is interest-free education loan in Mendaki. Actually, I was asked by someone about education loan. So I was telling her why you need to go to banks to go for education loan. I mean, Mendaki does offer it, and it's interest free. So and before that, you don't have to go to apply for education loan. You can apply for, if you are good academic good, you can apply for bursaries, scholarships, grants. Then only when you're not eligible, then you can apply for interest-free education loan. So I was telling her, please approach Mendaki because the education loan is interest-free. In fact, I was quite upset. I was telling Mendaki staff like, hey, look, why aren't you promoting your interest-free education loan? Not many people know about this. See, so everybody goes to banks to go for education loan, but and it's quite high. I mean, the effective interest rate is easily 40% overall. So if you're getting education loan for $10,000, you're paying 46% more at the end at the end. You see, so that the rest, that 46% is actually effective interest rate. So that's it's a lot. So try to avoid if at all costs. Yes. So and also people tend to lose their priorities. See, yeah. People tend. I mean, talking about a Muslim community. Yeah, people tend to spend more than what they could save. So please focus on the two debts at most when you work. I mean, most of you, some of you from university students for SMU. So you may focus on your education loan, some of you on car loan. When you work, you have a housing loan. So the rest are not necessary. So there is a concept of this thing in Malay, pakai dulu baru kemudian. So it's actually encouraging consumerism, but actually increasing our liabilities. So one of my friends actually in the AMP debt advisory. So he shared with me some statistics. It's quite worrying. See, so a lot of people are in debt. Muslims are in debt. So please don't go into debt lah. Yeah, unnecessarily. Yes. So okay. And okay, let's talk about fatwa and asatiza continue to be relevant. Yes, actually for asatiza and MUIS, they're working quite hard actually. So yes, the Singapore government and MUIS, they are preparing a National Islamic College with MUIS Academy. They also form a community of future asatiza. So they train religious leaders to make sure that asatiza also trained in science, technology, and also Islamic finance. So you can't see it now. Hopefully, we can see something. Hopefully, Singapore government have for us, for the next 3 to 5 years, or hopefully. And yes, so the next one is about avenue to halal earnings. Okay, Singapore cost of living increases. And so actually many people will actually been resort to other means to earn extra income. So many people actually got involved in, for example, halal forex trading, pyramid schemes, binary options, or buying bonds, which are thought to give some complex income. because some scholars say so, see, yeah, but it's just a minority view, see. So um, generally scholars allow use of technology, but to facilitate business. But for example, cryptocurrencies, there's still quite a huge debate on this. Yeah, so I will not touch on that. Next slide, Wafiq. Okay, we have a short quiz here. Okay, I'll go to very fast. Okay, what are some types of avenue of earning income which are considered controversial in Sharia? Okay, just to inform, actually, if you notice that some slide I do have additional readings, so you can click on them and do take a look at some of these readings. Actually, these are some of them are written by some of my friends, and also I added in chip in also to write as co-authors. So do feel free to take a look. Okay, the answer. Okay, I'll go to the answer. Yes, actually the answer is all of the above. All of the above. Okay, for item A, I don't talk Michael Ustaz Nuzan has already shared Mui's opinion. Actually, what Muis has mentioned is about actual foreign currency exchange. Like you go to the money exchange to change for money. So actually there's a need. But when it comes to the foreign exchange, foreign currency trading is meant that you go to a online, or a trading platform, and you actually speculate, the foreign currencies, and actually bid, buy and sell just to make that money. So you make profit out of it. So if the intention is purely to make money, then there's a potential Sharia issue. Okay. So okay, for cryptocurrency, okay, the Securities Commission Malaysia, the Sharia Advisory Council, is actually very recent. Back in July 2020, they actually say that trading of digital assets is permissible. So okay, to be honest, we may not able to stop cryptocurrency for being mainstream currency one day. Could be the next 3 years, for example. Yeah, because many of us are actually working from home. Just like paper money, see. Yeah, so I mean, if everybody in the street is using cryptocurrency, you don't have a choice, right? I mean, you just have to follow. So because and somehow, if the government has made it, necessary for or compulsory for the Singapore citizens to use cryptocurrency one day, you just have to follow. See, so it's a matter of when is it being a so-called like legal tender. You cannot go to the street and say no, I want to use gold coins, deny dirham. It doesn't work that way. See, so if you watch like last week's session conducted by Dr. Samsia, she also mentioned, I mean, she's not like inclined to cryptocurrencies, unless it's like asset backed. See? So cryptocurrency does have its issue, but we it's a more scholars either say it's not inclined, or we just say wait and see. So hopefully, we see how it goes out in future. All right. So the answer is E, all of the above. Okay. All right. So actually, the next slide, Wafiq, okay, in conclusion, actually what I can say is actually inside banking in Singapore is likely to stay, but you will not able to compete effectively with the conventional. So as you know, Singapore being secular, but it's actually quite economically competitive. See? So it has a non-preferential treatment towards Islamic finance. So in a way, it probably remains as a niche. So the only way is the industry players must work hard to generate market demand. So hopefully, because we don't have a governing coordinator to regulate the the financial players. Even from the grassroots, we don't have a dedicated person to actually govern Islamic finance in Singapore. So somehow the Islamic finance players, hopefully they just need to consolidate the efforts, just to show what are the ethical, the value added proposition of products, of Islamic finance product, rather than just replicating the conventional. So based on my studies, actually, I can see that MES, even the Ministry of Trade and Industry, actually, they're actually quite supportive for finance, because actually it complements the International Financial Center. So, but it's just that we need a more top-down political will, so to boost our public awareness, and to strengthen the financial inclusion. So currently we don't have that yet. So it takes a while for some finance players, to work on themselves and make sure that they can push their finance in near future. All right. I go to next slide. Okay, Wafiq. Okay, I'm running out of time. Okay, about 9 minutes. Okay, let's go to the halal industry in Singapore. Okay, actually halal industry is actually not just food and drinks. It's actually non-exhaustive. Health, it includes health, beauty products, medicine, tourism, logistics, even goods you buy, leather goods, for example. So there's a report, they call it State of Global Islamic Economy Report 2019 and 2020. It mentioned that Singapore actually ranked quite highly, you see, because it has potential to go halal business, especially in modest fashion, media, recreation, and pharmaceuticals and cosmetics as well. So what I'm trying to say is actually halal products and Islamic banking, finance, actually they can complement each other. Islamic banking finance is just one sector of the of the halal of the economy. You see, so if you talk about halal product, it includes all other sectors. You see, so actually you can they should complement each other to provide stability more in the GDP growth. So I mean, eventually we need an ecosystem to support the holistic halal businesses from end to end. Okay, next slide, Wafiq. Okay, as what I told you, this is the business landscape. These are actually, to be honest, these are some of the players in Singapore. I really apologize because some of you may be from other players doing halal businesses. I really apologize because I may miss out. I've missed out many more actually. So actually, all of them doing halal business, but in their own field. So as you see, this extends beyond Islamic banking and finance. It's about the halal ecosystem that I mentioned. Actually, all of them are in Singapore actually. Yeah. In fact, yesterday I just talked to one of the guy from Mega Express International. Yeah. So they're doing actually they are doing their own halal business in their own way. Yep. Okay, next one. What's it? All right. Okay. I did a paper. Paper you can check that academia. Okay. Yeah. So actually, I will go through quite fast on analysis on the halal business in Singapore, and actually I touch a bit on the COVID part also lah. So regulatory matters, economic resiliency, society, financial inclusion, technological areas, environmental, transport, and legal perspective. Okay, next one, Rafiq. Okay, these regulatory matters, as you're aware, Singapore government is well aware of the complementary role of Islamic business finance to the current banking industry. So our emeritus senior minister Mr. Goh Chok Tong also mentioned that the more than a decade ago actually that Singapore cannot be a complete international financial center unless Islamic finance is offered as well. So MAS regulates both Islamic banking sectors. MUIS mandated what's it called, waris halal to go to the halal food industry. So that's how it works. Okay, the Singapore is actually, it has a secular approach. So in the way, there's some lack of political will to allow Islamic economic activities. So because they are somehow related, somehow people tend to associate with religious teachings. You see, yeah. So and somehow in this current context in the globe, there's actually fierce competition from countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, New Zealand, UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So for example, you see Turkey. Turkey, even Turkey is looking to develop ISO level halal standards for other countries. Yesterday I just got to know Jakim, yeah, they just announced that their halal management department they just got ISO certified for conformity assessment. So actually the halal industry, especially food, for example, they are actually going quite fierce and around the globe. So the other item is about trade diplomacy. So actually Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, actually they have a Gulf triangle. See, they have a model of cooperation, but actually this is not yet tapped. See, the potential side business is still not yet tapped because Indonesia also look at halal economy. Malaysia is also doing side banking and they are going towards its halal economy. So hopefully Singapore can also work together to have a this tripartite relationship. Yes. Okay. Next slide. Wafiq. Economic resiliency. Okay, there's a one belt, one road. Actually, there's enormous business with China, especially halal businesses in Xi'an. So because there is because there is this one belt, one road mega project. So and it will facilitate trade of halal products because there's a route there. Actually, the route will actually link up more than 100 countries actually across Asia, Africa, Europe, and Oceania. So actually, Singapore companies can tap on this. Yeah. But recently, due to COVID, actually, when I monitor, there's a slump in the stock performance. But we see how it goes along the way. Yes. Okay. talking about the second point, fortitude, unity, resilience, and solidarity. These are national budgets. As you know, our President Halimah Yacob has actually authorized to release the funds. Total about 200 billion US dollars. 200 billion Singapore dollars. So that's quite a lot of money. So, and even MAS also has a support package for 125 million. So actually all this actually to support the economy. So can Islamic finance actually can complement to some extent or not? Yep. Okay, talking about Maybank and CMB. Okay, CMB actually they are targeting SME businesses in Singapore. They have this ASEAN China Halal corridor. So as you know, Ustaz Nuzan used to be is working there. Okay. For Maybank, actually Maybank has opened a branch in Dubai Dubai International Financial Center. So they're offering corporate financing, treasury, capital markets. So that's what Maybank is doing. Another bank actually we should not leave out. Actually, is a RHB bank. So they'll be quite successful in financing commercial companies in Singapore. Okay. Next one is about Pegas. Okay, Pegas actually, as you know, is independent association of Islamic scholars. So they in the news, Pegas has purchased a 5-story commercial building. So and ventured to real estate portfolio. So as you know, the building is near Gatri there. It has tenants including a halal cafe and a Muslim friendly education center serving children with special needs. So that's one what Pegas did. Pegas also launched a Perlu. Perlu is Pegas Endowment Legacy Ulama. It's an endowment fund actually to provide financial assistance to our local religious teachers. Yes, because some of the religious teachers actually they are in financial need. So this is one of the way that Pegas can help the community. Okay, we're talking about gold. Okay, under Islamic literature, gold is is one of the it's a stable currency on its own. It can serve as various purpose. It can be commodity, a currency, or risk management tool. To hedge against inflation, and it's actually quite a safe asset. So, do we have anything in Singapore that does investment in gold? There are two actually. One is a Public Gold Marketing Singapore. Yeah, Public Gold Marketing Singapore. So actually based in Malaysia, but they have a business in Singapore. So actually it allows customers to build up a personal gold portfolio. So you purchase small amounts of gold regularly over a period of time as an alternative way to rather than traditional saving practice. So its products actually include dinar and dirhams, and they're actually they are really endorsed Asia compliant by Armani Advisors. Armani Advisors, is owned by Dr. Daud Bakar. Is a very prominent Shia scholar around the world. Okay. Okay, I think I will go to next slide. Okay, next slide, Wafiq. Okay, society and financial inclusion. Okay, so because of society now, actually many millennials and our Gen Z actually believe faith and morality might exist. So, and the best thing is now digitalization has removed physical boundaries. So actually in a way, our international community is more connected. So actually it makes things better for the halal industry to go because there's more connectivity in a sense. And you talk about item 2, social groups. There are more visibility except finance players in social media. We have there's a recent collaboration with Islamic finance practitioners, Islamic religious group, and secular students. So, for example, in WhatsApp we have a IFSG group. So actually, it is formed with many Islamic finance practitioners and scholars. It's actually as a main source of reference for Muslim community in Singapore about Islamic finance. So it does conduct webinars and it is also using Twitter and Instagram. So you can check out this IFSG. It's actually is owned by one of my friends. So he's heading this. And also, as you know, SMU, so the Islamic Business and Finance Society is also preparing this educational materials to be published on social media. Where actually I'm not teaching, I'm now having a sharing session. Okay, I'll go to the last point on education. Okay, on education and housing financing facilities. Okay, we did talk about that. Okay, now I'm running out of time. Let's move on next slide, please. Okay, on technological again, actually I'll just focus on the first on the two local companies. Actually, these are local companies, Was Halal and One Agrics. So actually, Was Halal and One Agrics actually they have use blockchain. Actually, Was Halal they develop an enterprise solution to help companies to ease application for halal certification. I believe is to MUIS lah. So and One Agrics actually verify the authenticity of manufacturer's halal certificate. So the data vector is secure via blockchain. And actually what's good is that their technology can assist in combating food fraud and counterfeiting, which actually happening around the world today. Okay, if you go to item, the next one about SMCCI plans. If you see our Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce, they have actually announced back in May 2019 that it will be developing a halal hub in Singapore. So housing halal food processing units, center kitchens and halal excellence center, logistic operation. So actually it's still in progress. I was hoping that hopefully it can be operationalized and it could be out in the news that they've really make it successful. Okay. Okay, next one about halal groceries. Halal groceries, I mean we know N2C, Giant and Sheng Siong. We also have how halal hub under one of my friends here, the Uni Faizal Tan. So also recently they have enabled online purchase. So there are other actually halal groceries in Singapore. So Nikmat, CS Food, Adam Halal. So actually these are small players. Actually, some of you may not heard of, but actually they are also doing the same. They're also going online also soon. Okay. Next slide. Wafiq. Okay, I already talked about this, the sustainable development goals. So actually, Singapore actually support the United Nations 2030 agenda. There are actually 17 goals. So being a small country, we actually limited land and no resources. Actually, it's quite remarkable. I done some bit of research. Actually, Singapore's strength lies in sustainable urban management and water management. See? So this is actually what government should do. And it's actually in line with the spirit of Sharia. So I'm also doing a paper on this also. Hopefully I can finish it on time. So and Singapore also doing a low carbon economy with green energy and clean energy and green transportation. So you see now there are some electric vehicles coming, and actually they are also looking to solar energy. So based on and using green hydrogen instead of fossil fuels. Even our HDB parks, government also looking whether we can homegrown food, in the multi-level storage car parks, and the HDB rooftop to be converted for growing vegetables. Actually, these are the plans the government have proposed, So it's actually this public info. You can find them. But these are some of the marvelous brains the government has. Okay. Yes. So next one is about halal friendly travel. We have Crescent Rating. Crescent Rating is Singapore, by Faizal Bahadin. It's also one of my, quite a good, nice guy. So he's the world's leading authority on halal friendly travel with an online platform. But and they're also working with halal with our national body on travel, and also to target the Muslim travelers in Asia. But due to COVID, the Muslim travel has temporarily declined for time being. Yes. Okay, can we go to next slide, Wafiq? Okay, I will go to the things you have not gone through. Okay, I've gone through the Constitution of Republic of Singapore. I've talked about the AMLA. I also talked the MAS regulation on application of banking regulation to Islamic banking. Okay, I'll talk about the registry of pawnbrokers. Okay, right. Okay, the first Islamic pawnbroking business, they call it Arahan. Actually, in Singapore, it was actually licensed by the Ministry of Law under our registry of pawnbrokers. It was back in 2013. It was carried out by actually there's a company, you can Google it. It's called 916 Pawn Shop Private Limited, and it's actually collaborated with another company which doing gold. I mentioned Public Gold Marketing Singapore. So this is what they're doing now. They're doing Islamic pawnbroking in Singapore since 2013. Sadly, they did not really advertise themselves so much. I also don't know why, but they are legit company. They're really doing a legit business. And they have their Shanghai aspect of the operation endorsed by the in somewhere in Malaysia, the Koperasi Dagang Emas Channel Panel. So it is back in somewhere in Malaysia. Okay, so actually it's more on Malaysia, being in the business in Singapore. See, but we do have something to showcase for Singapore. If you look in the news somewhere in August this year, actually 2020, there's a company called Arahnu Singapore Private Limited. And if you know very clearly in Geylang, there's a shop called Value Max. So this Arahnu Singapore Private Limited and Value Max, actually they work together. They soft launched their first, or so-called first, not second. In the first share compliant pawnbroking shop. Actually it's at Juchat Mall. Yeah, you can check it there. It's endorsed by one of my friends, Dr. Ustaz Kamal Mokhtar. Everybody know him. He's also a share committee member of Maybank Islamic. So I always see him every month. So this was happening. So we do have Islamic pawnbroking in Singapore. So in fact we have two actually. Yeah. Right. Okay, we can go to the next one. The next slide, please. Okay, so actually I share 3 points. What happened to the Islamic finance and halal businesses from January to June 2020. So that is resiliency of the political will. So actually, Singapore is very strict, and they are very good at ensuring our economy is still safe. They have this COVID-19 Temporary Measures Act 2020. So it really provided a lot of relief to businesses and individuals, who especially those who cannot perform our contractual obligations. So yeah, even MUIS actually has done quite a lot of things. For example, they set aside 1 million to support the mosque, during the temporary closure. They have a charity called Rahmatil Alamin. They have a community crowdfunding, set up the ourmasjid.sg. So actually community can donate online to the mosque. Also they have advisory panels to assist in Wakaf implementation. See? So there's a total about 91 Wakaf property in Singapore, total about 800 million Sing dollars. So some of the panels include key players, Bank of Singapore, Propnex, AEP Investment, Maybank Islamic, Beritaria, and Dawakam. Some also from Madrasah Junid, National University of Singapore. So all these players are actually inside the advisory panels to assist in Wakaf implementation and give some advisory support. And MUIS also launched the Wakaf Masyarakat Singapore. So it's like an endowment fund to fund the community's institution and religious program. So actually MUIS has been doing, it's actually not behind the scene. Actually it's in the news, just that they don't really showcase so much and people may forget about it. Yes. All right. So okay, we go to next slide. Wafiq. Okay, quick question. Which of these entities is not involved in any halal business? Okay, just a few more seconds. Okay, yes, okay. Some of you choose Value Max, Walton, none. Only 38% choose none of the above. Actually, the answer is number 5. None of the above. Actually, all of them are doing some halal business in some way. Okay, first one, MUIS, it's obvious, it's self-explanatory. They're doing fatwa and advisory for the community, also, especially on the social aspects. Mendaki, they are giving grants, bursaries, education loans, and I say education loans are interest-free. Please go for them lah. I mean, please go for bursaries, grants, and subsidies. If you're not eligible, then you can go for the interest-free loan offered by Mendaki. Okay, so that's what Mendaki is doing. And number 3, Value Max. I just said, okay, Value Max and Rahnu, they have the share compliant pawnbroking shop at Juchat, no? Juchat. So it's certified by local ustad. Okay. And next one, Walton. Walton is doing land banking. In fact, in Singapore. So actually, you put money, and actually the Walton will do some will do some land banking, post management on land, especially in US and Canada. Walton is actually certified SRI compliant by Pegas Investment and also Amani. So so the answer is 5 lah. Okay, none of the above. Okay, next one. Next one, Mafik. Okay, actually, this is another section. It's about Maqasid Syariah and Fiqh Aqaliyat. Okay, actually, I inserted this section to know that because we are a Muslim community living in a secular country, so just we must do our duty to God, no. But we need to practice good citizenship. No, we don't want ourselves to be known by others to be. I mean, we want ourselves to be known by others to be be hardworking, intelligent, and trustworthy. I mean, these are traits of a real Muslim. See. Okay. Actually, I want to ask. Okay, Wafiq. Actually, this is one section, but now it's actually time for Q&A. So should I stop here for Q&A, or do you want me to continue with this session? I leave this to the floor.
I think so. I think we can continue the Q&A because there's quite a fair bit of questions. Do you think we will lose out a lot if we leave out this portion, or on your recommendations? Because there's quite a fair bit of questions being asked by the participants.
Okay.
So we will entertain the questions.
Okay. Or you want me to go through very fast this section? Then the question because I will actually go through all the question, and actually I will share the answers offline. I think that's what you did with other presenters, right?
Sure. We can just take a quick one and then we'll move on to the Q&A.
All right. Okay. So I'll go to the rest of the slides or the Q&A.
Yes, carry on. Bismillah, you can continue your slides.
Okay. All right, I'll go to very fast on this one. Next slide. Okay. Okay, actually Nuzan also have covered this, but so I'll do very fast. Just give me a very short while. Okay. Okay, Maqasid Syariah has been actually elaborated by Ustaz Nuzaihan. So just talk about the 5 things. Okay, faith, lives, intellect, lineage, and wealth. Okay. Okay, if you go to next slide, Wafiq, if you know fiqh dynamism. Okay, fiqh dynamism, it looks, I mean, it's just a word, but just to tell you, Islam is not a static religion. So it keeps changing, you see, along the way with the global developments, you see, so that new problems faced by Muslim humanity can be resolved. So it's supposed to improve humans, humans, not to give them more burden actually. So as long as in line with the fundamentals of Quranic sciences, such as the science of hadith, fiqh, and legal medicine. Okay, so actually there are some concepts I mentioned. I just mentioned them. For example, ijtihad, maslahah, darurah, and taysir field. These are actually quite technical words. So I will not go to detail. What it means is actually that all these things, the tools of fiqh aqaliyat, the fiqh of minorities, actually it serves to facilitate lives of Muslims instead of being rigid and impose strictness. Because actually the intention of Sharia is actually for you to get success, for the Muslims. Is to the consensus and flexibility granted. You see. Okay. So can we go to the next slide, Wafiq? Okay. This item is wasatiyah. Wasatiyah is actually means you take the middle approach. You see. So actually, Muslim have good manners and integrity to maintain peace with the Muslim majority. Okay. So actually, this is what we need for the community. We also need the scholars to be skilled and knowledgeable. So I mean, if you look at there's a book by Pegas, you know, the Obo Omar. So there's a lot of great scholars in Singapore. You know, Ustaz Ahmad Sun Haji, you know, Kiai Ahmad Zuri Mumtamin, Almarhum Abdul Jufri, Syumar Khatib, Habib Ahmad Smaid. So and these are scholars actually. None of us actually, even the asatiza are not able to reach at that level. So actually, we're still using some of their books for references and even till now. Okay, so okay, can go to the next slide. Wafiq. Okay, I'll just go to the key takeaways. Actually, what I will mention is actually Islamic finance will remain as a niche, but actually you cannot be standalone. It needs to be integrated to the ecosystem of the national and the global economy. So halal sectors, they need to synergize. Currently they are a bit fragmented, you know, so there's no coordinating body. So a body needs to be there to actually manage the halal economy with a national interest and with possibly with some backing. And education is key. So it starts with all of us who want to earn halal income. Please don't stay within among yourself only. Please network. We need support everywhere, not just locally, globally. We have, you know, the digital infrastructure, use of them and lives with people. The approach is a bottom-up approach. Bottom-up, which means that we have to actually integrate with the current infrastructure in Singapore. That's what we can do so far. And the most important thing is you must also have a love for humanity. I mean, be kind to everybody, Muslim, non-Muslim, whatever culture, you know, regardless of race. Even to a dog in the street, you just have to be to practice this love. Without love, it doesn't. Things can't work. You know, people talk about ihsan, you see. Yeah. So, and if you want to do all these things, you have to start now. So you have to. I mean, for like students, you have to like your priorities. I mean, clear your studies, get your grades, secure a job. After that, focus on what your community needs. You know? For some of us, you know, working adults like myself, you know, we work together, network, find common grounds, add value, you know, and we have to start somewhere. So I mean, if you don't start yourself, I mean, trust me, nothing will happen. Yes. So yes, okay, last slide please. Okay, after that I will stop for Q&A. So actually, before I end my presentation, actually I want to share an interesting article. It was just shared by one of the previous presenter, my friend, Dr. Haziq. Yeah, actually this is you can Google it. Actually, I'm not sure you can Google. I think you can Google it. Yeah. So this is just published a few months ago. So it means that the research I find it is quite interesting. Say that the presence of Islamic banks actually add to the stability of the banking industry system. So it's okay. Profitability is not factored, but it does add into the stability. So I hope that, you know, the policymakers, you know, who want to do policy in the banking industry, you know, so they can take action. You know, so hopefully they can help in the growth of Islamic banking. And this also in line with the broader economic objective or the financial sector stability. So this is done by University of Pakistan and Malaysia. They involve quite a number of banks, 84 banks actually. So this one I can share with you. So okay, I think Jazakumullah for joining this session. Okay, so we can start with the Q&A. Okay, if I really don't know, I will say so. So please ask those who know. Okay, okay, so I think that's all for me. Barakallahu fikum wa alaikum daiman abadan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.